Greetings, family. Welcome to Pan-Africanism Towards Nationhood, building a global Black business pipeline. And greetings, family. Welcome to another wonderful live conference call, live video call, live presentation, live connection, all those wonderful things. And on Pan-Africanism Towards Nationhood, family, we always got some good energy for you. So tonight's topic is Liberia history, culture, and connection to Black America with Liberia Hesta Baker, Unchain Africa CEO, and Dr. Elizabeth Barclay. And hopefully I pronounced both of your names correct.
Yes, you did.
Yes, ladies, good morning. How you feeling?
Good morning. How are
Great,
you? We're
great.
doing well.
Very well.
Yes, I'm in the wonderful state of Georgia, USA. And where exactly are you in Liberia?
Monrovia. So we're
Capital city.
the capital city, Monrovia.
All right, cool, excellent. So family, we're gonna get into information as far as our wonderful journey of a lifetime coming up to Liberia. So we're sharing a lot of information as far as the importance, the connection with Black America and Liberia, and information about tourism, business investment. So this journey is I'm gonna pull up one of our actual flyer for the tour so I can actually just share uh, the reality of as far as the dates and what we're talking about.
Okay.
All right, let me know if you can see this, and
Yes.
definitely let me know if you can see this one also.
Yes.
So, family, that's what we're talking about, the Liberia journey. So, before we get into certain things, also like to let everyone know that below is all of our information as far as our contacts. All the information that we're going to be talking about Liberia is going to be on our website at africafortheafricans.org. And I'm always letting everyone know once you visit our website, all of the details are there. This, if you're on your desktop and your laptop, it's a different version. You hear music and also you have slideshow. You can control both of those things. And then below that, you'll see all the documentation on the main menu. So what you do is go down the main menu and you'll see Liberia journey. And then also if you scroll down to the main page, you'll see the links also. So everything is right at your fingertips of scrolling and looking at. So let us show you this flyer. So all we're talking about is leading up to this travel date of March 29th to April 9th, 2024. And this is just a flyer, so it's not going to show you all of everything that we're doing, but it just talks about the package, and it's a full package to give you a nice luxury connection and just take you around the country. So last few times when we talk about Liberia, we showed you the full information on the website, and we can still do that. Let me just give you a quick glimpse of that. So this is what it will look like once you're on our website. And as you can see on the main menu from home all the way down, you'll see the Liberia link. So once you click on that link, it opens up to where you see the full tour overview, the full itinerary, general terms, visa process and requirements, and a few little helpful information like improving your immune system. And then we have a departure reminder list. So as time go along, our goal is to work on those files, and we're always updating things. So this website is always updated. So as we build closer, you may see one or two changes, but that is our vision of the full program. So what I'm going to do is just click on tour overview and then we're going to more than likely get back to it. So the wonderful music comes on and great energy of photos. So this just goes to the package of a nice normal basic tour package. Cool. Ladies, can you see the highlights? And that's
Yes.
what we want to show people. So
Yes.
last time we showed the full itinerary, which you can always click on itinerary, but this is just a full highlight overview of this different things that's included and different places we're going to either go to, drive by, pass, or we're going to be connected to.
Awesome.
So I wanted to find out, are these your normal routes that you travel when you do, when you do things?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. Yes, I mean you're on point. It's on point. Yes.
And I'm sure we can go through it, but I don't want to take up too much time on that information, because one thing I'm always encouraging people to do, if you're interested in these things, you know, go to the website, take a look at it, read through it, and then reach out to me. My phone number is at the bottom, email address at the bottom, so you have all access to information. So yes, ladies, I'm ready to get into this wonderful conversation. And
All right.
yes, so both of you, you're both from Liberia.
Yes.
Yes. We're cousins.
Yes. I'm from Liberia, but I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm back home for a short visit.
All right, perfect. So let's get into some history of of your life in Liberia and your connection to how now we're working on looking to get more people to live and do business in Liberia, and and also talk about the 201 year 1822 settlement of Africans from America relocating or repatriating or reconnecting to the west coast of Africa, to mainly Liberia. So definitely want to get into the history of that, and this you can also share whichever way you want to break it down, how all these things are all connected, because our topic is Liberia history, culture, and connection to Black America. But definitely want to hear more about both of you first.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Barclay. I'm a psychiatrist practicing in Atlanta, Georgia. I help out in community psychiatry I work with an organization that helps to house homeless individuals, as well as integrated type of medicine as well. I am from Liberia. I've been more recently interested in the history of Liberia, which is a unique history for the world, actually, and also the connection between the different groups that came together to form the republic back in the 1820s to the 40s.
Appreciate that. Uh, and yourself, Hester.
Okay, so I'm Hesta Baker, and I live in Liberia. I moved to Liberia in 2006. Originally, prior to coming to Liberia, I lived in Georgia. I was in Georgia for 10 years. Prior to Georgia, I lived in Texas for 16 years. My career has primarily been publishing. So I did quite a bit of publishing in the US, headed the Georgia market for a publication called The Guest Informant, which went into all of the hotel rooms, the major hotel rooms in Atlanta. So was head of market for that. I launched a magazine called Style that focused on lifestyle topics. That was also a newsstand magazine in Atlanta. So prior to moving here, most of my career has been with publishing, working with magazines, newspapers, business publications, travel publications, and decided to come back to Liberia in 2006. It always was a dream, dream of mine to come back, to Liberia, because I always felt that, we had gone through so much as a country and wanted to be a part of nation building. So moved back and launched a magazine when I came back to Liberia called Liberia Travel and Life. Published that for 6 years, and then began working in the private sector, working with various companies heading communications. And we got together recently because I called you to interview you, and then you flipped the script and said I'll interview you. So here we are. So I'm I'm quite excited to be able to talk about Liberia, because it is a passion of mine. And like I said, Tidai is my cousin, and we talk a lot about history all the time. And we just get very excited about our, conversations that relate to history. So it's great to be able to sit on this platform and just talk, as friends, and casually discuss Liberia, and hopefully answer questions that, some of your potential visitors might have. But we want to have a good time this afternoon. So it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for hosting us.
Definitely an excellent, and I appreciate a wonderful introduction from both of you, both business professionals, dedicated to Liberia and dedicated to the future of Liberia. So, family, I'm always letting you know that our goal is to connect with wonderful people so we can work together to, build this thing, build this energy that our ancestors started. With that, definitely want to talk about 1822 and before 1822 on how our African ancestors from America and from the other parts of the African diaspora got to Liberia, and what were the conditions and how did it really work out. And then we're going to keep on going from there. I know it's a long history, so we can go from piece to piece, and you can also share based on both of you different perspectives.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
So just let us. I mean, our history is 200 years old.
okay,
So
I'll just start off because history is old, but history is old,
Right.
but history is also dynamic. So history is happening right now.
Right.
So I'll just start off with something that I learned recently since I've been back here. I've only been here for about a week and a half, and I was uh, 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 a chauffeur that was chauffeuring me and a friend around said he was from New Georgia, which is an area here in Liberia. And I had heard about New Georgia before, but because of my recent interest in all the history, I questioned, how did this place in Liberia get this name? And me being the wanting to find out stuff now in this stage in my life, I went to I googled New Georgia, Liberia, and I got to learn about the very, very unique history of New Georgia and the connection to Georgia in the States. So basically, other folks might know about this, but we used to hear about how the Congo people came to Liberia. And the story was, they were rescued somehow from slavery and brought here, they were repatriated here after they were rescued from a slave ship or something like that around the Congo. So in my mind, all along growing up, I thought that the Coast Guards along here back in the 18 whatever rescued them around Africa. But after reading the history, I realized that they were rescued around the coast of Florida and Georgia.
Wow.
So that's the connection. Not only were they rescued there, where they were almost sold into slavery. They actually did not become slaves over there, even though they were transported there to be enslaved. They were rescued and they were kept in Georgia for 7 years, going through the court system to be able to return.
Wow. Wow.
So when they came back, they were given this area to settle, and they named it New Georgia because of their experience that they had in Georgia, United States.
Wow.
And I never knew that history. Others might know, but I did not. So I'm just going to throw that recent history in.
Wow. It's so much, when it comes to the Liberia history, but Bomani, we talk about our history from 1822, but what happened in 1822, we had the first 80, some say 86, some say 88 people that decided to board a ship, called the Elizabeth. And they got on that ship, and actually in 1821, they first landed, and that first group, I think, came from mostly the East Coast. I think they were from New York. Actually, the ship, the boarding was from the harbor of New York. So there were about 88, 86, the numbers as we say it, that came on that ship. Now, they sailed first into Sierra Leone, and for some reason, we've heard multiple reasons, malaria, maybe they were not so welcomed, but we've heard many reasons as to why they eventually came to Liberia. All right. So what happened? You had Jehudi Ashman, who was a white governor for this new colony that America said they were starting in Africa. Now, the history of that, and we can discuss that in terms of why a colony in Africa. But from all indications, America apparently wanted to rid itself of these, those that had come in, as slaves, and they were trying to now see how they could possibly rid themselves, I think, of these black folks.
Well. It was. I mean, they didn't want to rid themselves of useful slaves. They wanted to rid themselves of the freedmen who may have been influencing the slaves.
The radical people.
Because there were groups of black people who were never enslaved, who were always free from way back 16 whatever, when when those first ships came, that were in the community that could not be enslaved because they were free. So they wanted to really rid themselves of free black people that were exerting their intelligence, their creativity, and living their best lives. so trying to live their best lives among them. So that was the threat that they were trying to exclude. So the idea was they were never sending people that were useful to them on plantations. They were trying to repatriate people who were freed, and the problem was what are we going to do with them? I just want to throw that in.
So it's interesting, so here you have these people, they came on this ship, and eventually you had Jehudi Ashman, you had the captain of the ship was Captain Robert Stockton. And so the two of them came into this area along Cape Mesurado, looking for a new home to repatriate these 88 people or whoever survived this trip. So they came into Liberia. At that time, of course, it was not Liberia. It was called, the island that they landed on was initially called, it became Providence Island, but initially it was, it just escaped me. But they landed on this island and began negotiating with the natives that were also on this, that were in this space that they encountered. And through some negotiations, apparently they paid $300 for some land that was paid for in December. I think they signed their deeds and what have you around December 15th or something around there of 1821. Went back to Sierra Leone, Chevreau Island, and then brought these African Americans or free blacks into what would become eventually Liberia. So they brought them in, and that was on January, I can't remember, January 6th, I'm sorry. So they landed in Liberia, or in what was to become Liberia on January 6th. And from there, the ships began continually going back and forth. There were, between 1822 and 1864, you had a continuation of ships, that were going back and forth and bringing freed blacks into what was now this new place for African Americans. So in 1847, in 1820, so Jehudi Ashman was the first governor of this colony. And I believe it was 1829 or 1828, Elijah Johnson, who actually was my great several removed grandfather, became the governor of this new colony. And then you had in 1847, it became a country, and with a constitution that was very much mirrored after the American Constitution. But I sent you, for example, the preamble, because the preamble really states a lot in terms of what they were thinking when they decided, to craft the Constitution of Liberia. And that Constitution is what, it has sort of been a bedrock for Liberia and has sort of differentiated Liberia from the rest of Africa because of some of what's in the Constitution that have become very controversial, in today's world. But that's basically the formation, trying to make it as simplified as, you can make it. So, but Liberia's history really, it doesn't just include the African Americans. It's a history that it's one of Pan-Africanism, because what you also had was in the 1800s, where slavery was still occurring across the West Africa region, you also have now these freed blacks that were once, slaves, or, now they were descendants of slaves. They no longer wanted to see slavery, but here they were in the western region of Africa where slavery was still very active. So they became active participants in trying to see how they could eradicate slavery. And so that's a whole other topic that we can get into.
Appreciate that. That was a perfect introduction. And that
Okay.
introduction, family, what that did, that introduction introduced you to how how we're open to being connected to Liberia, which a lot of times you don't get this information. So we're here to break it down and take it. And family, note that our history um, goes way beyond this, but we're talking about a connection point from the African American connection to Liberia. Yeah, I'll see if we have any comments here. All right, so no comments so far. So, family, if you have anything that you like to access as we go along, just please go to the comment section and just type a message in, and I'll do my best to go through it. And when we get closer to the end or in between, we'll go through it. But right now, family, we're talking about Liberia history, culture, and connection to Black America with Liberian Hesta Baker, Unchain Africa CEO, and Dr. Elizabeth Barclay. And you're here with family with Bomani Time of Africa for Africans, and we're always here to get you connected to all these wonderful parts of Africa. So before we take you on that incredible journey of a lifetime to Liberia, to where you're going to enjoy all the roots, culture, and all of the beautiful paradise, which our sisters are definitely going to get into. And make sure you visit our website and check out those details. Definitely want people just to read up on it. I have a good brother here that's in the chat. Let me pop his name up. This is our good brother that worked with me on the itinerary, and I want to show him nothing but love. We literally work on it, and I always tell people, when you connect with good people, you get it done. So everything that you see on there is a product of me working with our good brother here, telling me where all of the tour sites are, which ones to visit, how to work certain things, and then us as Africa for Africans, that's what we do. We specialize in organized tours that we build from the ground up. But the way we work it is with our good people on the ground. Sometimes I type up a schedule, but if you haven't been to the country yet, you need professionals on the ground. Some other countries are much easier because we've been there so many times. But in this case, from working with our good brother, Kala Genesis, which is the one who really just kept on pushing, say, take one of your next groups to Liberia. This is when we didn't have schedules available. Over the years, once we built schedules, and then I started hearing him talk more about Liberia, it became this fascinating, especially that reconnection period. This marks 201 year since that connection, and then I also think about all the time before that the ship actually made a move over. It may have been what 5-10 years of planning and organizing. Yes. So, family, let me close this out and get back to what we're talking about with our sisters. So,
Okay.
that main part of Liberia you explained perfect. Now, the part that I want us to connect with from our introduction to our people getting to Liberia. Now, once we're in Liberia, we're in the west coast of Africa. I'm sure some people also went to this connection that we're talking about. Does it include Sierra Leone or just specifically Liberia as far as the ships?
Okay, so the Sierra Leone connection, and maybe Tira Dr. Barkley could add something else, but the Sierra Leone connection basically is that with Liberia, of course, Sierra Leone is our next door neighbor. But what happened was initially when the American Colonization Society started, the plan was for Sierra Leone. However, things did not pan out in Sierra Leone. And so that was why they came up Cape Mesurado, which is where Liberia is, and began to look because they were looking for a new place to sort of move these freed blacks to. And so that's the connection that we have with Sierra Leone, but we do share a border with Sierra Leone.
The Sierra Leonean history is a little earlier than ours, and that may have been why they kind of targeted that area of the West Coast because the colonies were already there, through the British connection, the Nova Scotia from the States. That's how a lot of the Creoles the Creole background came from Canada, the Canadian connection to Sierra Leone. That occurred several, maybe 50 years earlier or something like that. So, the Sierra Leonean African American kind of a nation building started before ours. They were there earlier than we were, but that was the British connection
Okay,
with
absolutely.
Bill Sharp and all of them.
And that makes sense and perfect. And thank you for clarifying that. So now, because that's part of the history sometimes we're not clear on. And as a matter of fact, everything that we're talking about, there's a lot of this information that's not clear. So I appreciate both of you, business professionals and Liberian historians, to break it down, because this is our good history. Because I want people to understand the importance of what we're doing, and we're not just doing certain things. We're doing it. We're building a legacy onto what our ancestors envisioned. Because I just have to give them a lot of credit and respect. I mean, I don't know how I would feel having to, I guess you have to either stay or go. So it's a 50-50 decision. But the going part is hard, because now you have to rebuild a future from that mindset of being worn down and broken down in America. But family, that's what we do. That's like we talk about Marcus Garvey, all the T-shirts that we have. It's inspired by Marcus Garvey, which is who inspired us to make that connection. So family, all of our ancestors and all of our rich history is pushing us more to build that connection. And now it's not about staying or going. Now we know we have a connection to where you can stay, go, come back, and you can move. And that's based on the foundation of what our ancestors laid. And we're here to take it to that next level, and that's why we're giving you this rich history. So now let's continue. We're there in Liberia, and we're trying to connect what's going on in the country, and what's going on and how to make it work. And that's the part where I'm like, wow, how do we? I guess you have to figure it out as a people, because when you're together, you have to figure it out. So from the Africans from America coming to the native people, and the native people seeing them, what is the history said about how that connection went and how it was able to form this incredible republic?
So our history, right, is one in which Liberia is a melting pot of Black people, period. And so what you had was in 1822, when the African Americans came, it wasn't so easy, because you had people already on the ground. And they already had a life, and they were living, and they had their economy, their own history. So much was going on this ground. So now you have these new people coming in with a different twang, way of talking, a different attitude, different culture in terms of clothing, in terms of food, so many differences. But yet there were Black folks. I love some of them, very fair complected, needless to say. And so what you had was, initially there was tension, between the two groups. And even just the process in which Liberia, the African Americans went about acquiring land, there was so much, controversy around how that was done. We've heard it was at gunpoint. We've heard so many different things. However, at the end of the day, we all came together. We had to live together, and you still have you still have the differences going on. And one of the things that I know that the African Americans were seeking, they were seeking a place in which they could be free and live and be at home. If you look at the preamble, which I'm trying to pull up, and that's why I keep looking down, because I'm trying to pull up the preamble so that we could actually go into what the thought process was when they came. But when they arrived on the ground in Liberia, you had from 1822 until 1847, about 25 years of living together, trying to find a way to structure themselves. And if you look at Liberia today, what you will find is we are we eat similar foods. When you look at the Liberian food, for example, when you do come to Liberia, our collard greens, we will cook our collard greens, but it's a blend of that rich African American tradition along with the Liberia indigenous tradition. You know, we
add the palm oil to it.
we add, you know, we might add a few things here, but it's really similar. The way we talk, you know, people will say, "Ah, go for that." Oh." When you say "Ah, go for that," that's really "I ain't go for that," you know, or what kind of thing? Yes, so you know, I mean, we sort of took the African American lingo and we melted it with our own way of talking, and so we say a lot of things that, you know, are a mixture of the two, the indigenous as well as the African American heritage. So we have, over the years, you know, we've had lots of struggles. But what I always try to say as a Liberian, and this is where, you know, I believe Liberia's richness comes in, you know, come into play. Liberia, when in 1847, when we became a country, there was not another country on this continent
Republic.
that was a free, independent nation.
Not in the world, really.
Nowhere in the world. All right. I mean, but we know for sure on the African continent. The next country that came after us came in the 1880s, and that was Ethiopia. But prior to that, Liberia was a sort of a test,
Yeah.
you know, and you had all of these people trying to make something work. There was no history prior
Well,
to
I'm
that.
sorry. Let me correct that. Haiti.
Well, yeah, Haiti, that's why I was a little, I
Yes.
said Africa.
Yes, I'm sorry. Haiti in the 70s.
Exactly. Because it's similar history with
Yes,
Liberia.
yes.
You know, but we had all of, we have a story that if we only, okay, so let me back up for a minute. So you have like around the late 1800s, you had people like Wilmot Blyden, who came in from, you know, the British West Indies into Africa. You started to see people coming in from different parts of the Caribbean, you know, coming into this new country called Liberia. Why were they coming? They were coming because they had heard there was a new country in the world where Black people who wanted freedom could go. And so you saw a lot of people coming in. There are lots of names. You know, we'll probably, you know, Tita can speak more to the different names that came in from the Caribbean. All right. But you didn't just have all of these ships that were coming and going between America and Africa, bringing freed Blacks in. But you also now had all of these people coming in from the Caribbean that also had heard that there was a country where you could go and you would be free to be whoever you wanted to be. It was designed for freed people. Mm-hmm. Then something else was happening also in Africa. You had the British that had decided that slavery was wrong and they wanted to see slavery abolished. So they became abolitionists on the high seas. Now, they were basically trying to capture any slaving vessels that were trying to go into what was called the New World, into the Americas. So they began capturing those slaving vessels. Now, you had these freed African Americans on the ground in Liberia saying, we want to join with you and also capture these ships because we do not want to see slavery. You know, we and our ancestors were sold, into slavery. We understand the brutality, the dehumanizing of human beings. We do not want to see anybody else go into that situation. So yes, we will join you. Now, you didn't just have these African Americans joining, you also had the indigenous Liberians that were also on this ground saying we will also join in. Mm-hmm. So it was a history of emancipation, you know. So you had these, and now you had African Americans joining in, you had the indigenous, you know, Liberians joining with the British. Now you have the people coming in from the Caribbean, all saying we're going to try to end this thing. So we were really an early abolitionist country. So our history is one that, you know, we should be proud of as Black people, you know. And so when then what we had was, for example, you will go into the Congo, or let's say a ship is leaving the Congo and going in to the New World. British, African Americans, Liberians, you know, at that time, well, I think maybe they might have, you know, become 1847. So maybe they were called Liberians, but they were joining them and bringing these people in. So now what you had all of these people coming in, but they were coming from Congo, they were coming from Ghana, they were coming from Nigeria, wherever those ships were coming from, they were bringing them into what is now Liberia. So Liberia also became now a home to repatriated Africans who were being sold into slavery. That
Yes.
also came. So that's where the name Congo was coined because of the Congolese that were being sold into slavery, that were repatriated back here. They formed their little community because, of course, when you go into an area where you don't know anybody, you will form a community with those who speak your language, have similar customs, and what have you. So what we call Conga Town today, became that settlement of these people that probably came from the Congo. All right. But then through our history, when you begin to look deeper into Liberia history, as we continued into the 1900s, Liberia also was at the forefront, along with Ghana, with Kwame Nkrumah, and those who wanted to see also the
Other places become independent.
independent. So Liberia
Other
also
nations.
played a role.
Yes, in
In-
the nation building around Africa.
Yeah, exactly. In the 50s and the 60s, you began to see President Tubman, become involved in the decolonization of Africa. And even if you look at Liberia and you go back and you look at the formation of the Africa Union, you will find that the initial meeting for the Africa Union took place in an area of Liberia called Senegal. And that was where, they met. It was Kwame Nkrumah, President Tubman, and I believe Sekou Touré. They met in Senegal and began discussing how Africa could unite and form an organization. And that organization that ideologists of that organization came to life in Liberia. Though Tubman and Nkrumah had some differing opinions on what it should look like, at the end of the day, it was that meeting in Liberia that became the bedrock for the Africa Union as organization of Africa Union, which eventually became the Africa Union. So our history is very interesting because it all started with those freed African Americans, 88 people who braved the storm, took the risk, put their families on a ship out of New York Harbor, going into a place that they knew nothing about, landing, some of them dying from malaria and different diseases, eventually landing here, and without any knowledge of how to build a nation. Okay, they began trying, along with those on the ground, to begin building some sort of a nation. There was, if you and I'll say this, and then Dr. Barkley can add more. But one of the things that I always look at with Liberia is that if you look around us, if you look at Ghana, if you look at Cote d'Ivoire, if you look at Nigeria, you go into the DRC, you look at these places, all of these countries, they were colonized by countries that were very old. France, Portugal, when you look at Cape Verde, if you go into places like Angola where you have the Portuguese, most of West Africa is French speaking. So when these colonizers came into Africa, I believe they came in looking for a couple of things. Wealth, because Africa has some of the world's best natural resources, if not the best of the world's natural resources. But Africa is also a very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful continent. Landscape, mountains. We have some of the most beautiful, even if you go to Cape Verde, the salt slabs that you see, just amazing. And that whole, archipelago that you see in the Cape Verde. If you go to Ghana, beaches, Nigeria has, the wildlife, DRC, we have the big five in the DRC, your giraffes, your lions, all of those things. And so they came wanting to enjoy what they could not get in their countries. So they built those places for their enjoyment. If you go into parts of Ivory Coast, you will find homes and structures that were built in the 1700s, maybe the 1600s. So you had a lot of construction that was done by these colonizers, let's say between the 1500s to, 1960s, when they then decided that they would leave the colonialism. So you have a lot of structures and things, but Liberia didn't have that. Liberia was never colonized by any of those countries. So you had these people coming in to a virgin country, a country that had absolutely nothing beyond the mud huts, and the structures that were, our normal indigenous structures. So they had to build from the ground up with no backing, no real support system. If you go again to these French-speaking countries and these other countries, you will find that those had a lot of wealth and what have you with them. But we in Liberia did not have that. And so it's one of those things that we must always remember as Liberians, that we are still in, it kind of, really affected where Liberia is today. And I'm saying all this, Bomani, because when we talk about why you all are coming to Liberia next year, you talk about the investments and what have you. It's really critical to talk about that, because where Liberia is now, when you do come to Liberia, you will see that we are still struggling in terms of investments in building and so on and so forth.
That's a great breakdown, because that's as you explained before, our ancestors who made a move from African diaspora to west coast of Africa, a lot of things they have to figure out, and that's what I'm telling people, that we just have to keep on working together as a people and figuring it out and putting our money together and doing these things. So when we do these tours, it's to open the individuals that's coming with us, their minds to Liberia, and also to share with the people that we're connected with, that this is a wonderful country in Africa, and we can take advantage of the opportunity and work together to make it what we need it to be, or we can let other people just come on in, and next thing you know, the only thing that we can do is just provide our labor, because they'll own everything. So the initial vision of our ancestors was Black ownership, Black nation building, and this is also Africa's first republic, or this is also one of our first Black republics outside of Haiti.
Yes, yes, it is, and it's a country that we as Liberians, we love people, and it's so important that we say things, we say that, because if you do, when you come to Liberia, you will find Liberia to be one of the most engaging countries. We're very, we're open, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we come from a history of being welcoming. In the 1800s, I'm sure one of the reasons that Liberia or this area was selected was because the indigenous people on this ground were probably a bit more welcoming than when they went into Sierra Leone, for example, into Chevreau Island. So maybe that was part of the reason why they landed on these shores. But our history, we talked so much the other day, Bomani, and we got really excited in our conversation about even some of the investment reasons why Liberia makes the best opportunity for investors. We talked about our constitution being the only one in Africa that says only people of African descent or Negro descent can become citizens or landowners in Liberia. So those are some of the things that were brought to us, or given to us back in the 1800s by the Constitution. And so, how does that translate into today's terms? Those are things that we really need to look at, and we can discuss a bit further, because that plays a critical role, when we talk about bringing investors into Liberia next year.
Well, the main thing, once people minds and eyes are open, we can get them to get them to this take it further. And I think that's one of the things that's always great. Whenever you take just a groups of people to Africa, because no matter what they think here, no matter what they think here in America, you can come up with all kind of different ideas and all kind of different things of what you think things are, and how they are on the ground, and what people are going through and things like that. But the experience is what we really just want to connect people to. And that's why on that itinerary flow, we try to include all of the practical things, as far as just going to all of the historical sites, and as far as just a real business and investment conference, different social things, maybe things dealing with fashion, beauty, being on beaches, and really just get into where people can see, from the historical point of view, but also from being in the country and the vibes, the energy is good, and then making a list of this wonderful restaurants and places to eat and places to stay. So that's been the foundation of what we build as far as Africa for Africans, to connect it to where yourself on the ground, it can work, and that's just one of our techniques. I'm sure other people have other techniques, but we've been able to get I want to say about over 600 of our brothers and sisters from African diaspora to come on tour with us to Africa,
Yeah.
Wow.
many countries. So I'm telling people as we're talking about Liberia, this is something that we've done over the last 16 years. And I remember Ghana was that same country that we connected to a long time ago, and wasn't as popular then, but based on just us and other people pushing that energy. And so I was trying to get more people to join us in what we're doing. I see more people are gravitating to Sierra Leone because of citizenship, which is, it's what it is. But I like the connection that we have as far as Liberia, and then the untapped energy and untapped opportunity that's available. So always telling people who are investors, or whether they're not investors, just open your mind up to what's going on in the country, and we'll definitely formulate a nice business conference to where it really connects with them. And I'm sure we can find many of our people who have been, who have moved to Liberia from, maybe example, Jamaica, different parts of America, and they've been there for 10, 20 years, and we keep sharing that connection, and also take you to places to where you see that connection. So the goal is always to build a relative or relevant program to where that program connects us together from America, or I should say this the Americas.
The America.
Oh, let me tell you, Giovanni, I saw the list, right? And on your list, you have Providence Island. Providence Island, definitely. Okay, so you have, okay, so let's see, the Liberia National Museum. The museum is going to give you an amazing opportunity to see the history from the very beginning. Well, not from the beginning. Well, actually, it's from the beginning, because it takes you on the cultural side of Liberia. Because at the museum, you'll be able to see the mask, you will be able to see our indigenous culture, which is one amazing culture. All right, because you have 15 counties in Liberia, and each of the 15 counties, each of those counties also have their own amazing set of cultures. All right, so when you go to the museum, you will see the richness of our heritage in terms of our indigenous culture. So that's on the first floor. So you'll get a full scope, especially through the mask. The mask will give you a lot of information. On the second floor, that's where you will now see the African American history and culture, or the settlement of the African Americans into Liberia. So you will see, for example, the first 10 presidents of Liberia, they were all African Americans. Okay, so I always tell, we did a show sometime back where we said, Liberia, the first 10 presidents of Liberia were all African Americans. So before Barack, you had African American presidents. Sorry, I mean, not before Barack in America, we had an African American president. 10 African American presidents in Liberia.
10, yes. 10 from Virginia and other places on the.
Exactly.
I did see a video, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put myself on mute and load up the videos while you just continue to share that information as far as I guess the president information, as far as what you explained, that still in the Liberian Museum on the top floor?
Yes, you will see their pictures. Joseph Jenkins Roberts, Stephen Allen Benson. You hear the names. The names tell you these were not indigenous names. Daniel B. Warner, James Spriggs Payne, all of those people are people that were all African Americans born in America, came into Liberia at different stages in their ages. They came at some of them were children, some as adults.
Yeah, as adults, like E.J. Roy, and he was one that came here as an adult. He was already a merchant or something like that.
Yeah, so you have some interesting people. Now you also have at Ducor, which I see is on your list. Okay, so when you go to Ducor, you will see Joseph Jenkins Roberts
monument, yes.
And it's a brilliant monument, because there it also tells the whole story. And the story is sculpted by one of Liberia's best sculptors. His name was Vanjar Richards. He's deceased now, but
he was a victim of the Civil War.
Yeah, a victim of the Civil War. But he sculpted the story, before from the ship, I believe, up until the formation of a new country. And then okay. So let me say something about the Providence Island. Providence Island used to be called Dozua Island. So when you do Google Dozua Island, you see that that island also took some slaves. I mean, from that island, some people were taken into slavery. But it's the same island that those freed blacks returned to that became, initially they called it Perseverance Island, and then it became Providence Island. So that island is a full circle. You talk about Liberia, it's a full circle because some slaves were taken off that island, and then it was used to bring people back to. And that's where the initial group that came to Liberia, that's where they stayed for a minute. We don't know how long, but they were there for a while. I want to read something to you, though. Can I read this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. This is the preamble to the Liberia Constitution. Okay. It says, "We, the people of the Republic of Liberia, were originally the inhabitants of the United States of North America. In some parts of that country, we were debarred by law from all the rights and privileges of men in other parts. Public sentiment, more powerful than law, frowned on us. We were everywhere shut out from all civil office. We were excluded from all participation in government. We were taxed without our consent. We were compelled to contribute to the resources of a country which give us no protection. We were made a separate and distinct class, and against us every avenue to improvement was effectually closed. Strangers from all lands of a color different from ours were preferred before us. We uttered our complaints, but they were unattended to, or only met by alleging the peculiar institutions of the country. All hope of a favorable change in our country was thus wholly extinguished in our bosoms, and we looked with anxiety abroad for some asylum from the deep degradation. The western coast of Africa was the place selected by American benevolence and philanthropy for our future home. Removed beyond those influences which depressed us in our native land, it was hoped we would be enabled to enjoy those rights and privileges and exercise and improve those faculties which the God of nature has given us in common with the rest of mankind. Under the auspices of the American Colonization Society, we established ourselves here on land acquired by purchase from the lords of the soil. In an original compact with this society, we, for important reasons, delegated to it certain political powers, while this institution stipulated that whenever the people should become capable of conducting the government, or whenever the people should desire it, this institution would resign the delegated power peaceably withdraw its supervision and leave the people to government of themselves. I'll skip down and go from time to time. Our number has been increased by migration from America and by accessions from native tribes. And from time to time, as circumstances require it, we have extended our borders by acquisition of land by honorable purchase from the natives of this country. Okay, and then we go down. The people of the Republic of Liberia then are of right and in fact a free, sovereign, and independent state, processed all of the rights, powers, and functions of government in assuming the momentous responsibilities of the position they have taken. The people of this republic feel justified by the necessities of the case, and with this conviction, they throw themselves with confidence upon the candid consideration of the civilized world. It's a long preamble. So it goes, Oh, wow. I'm trying to get to the part because we talk also in here about slavery and the fact that there will never ever be slavery in Liberia, you know? So it's something that, I mean, anybody can Google the preamble. But Liberia is a country that was formed because people wanted freedom. People wanted a place where they could feel at home, you know, a place where they could grow and become all that they needed to be. And this is the name Liberia, which is, of course, a derivative of freedom, liber, you know, Latin for free. IA means land, so it's called Land of the Free. But it's important that people read the preamble of Liberia. This is an extension of America, but we are a sovereign nation, a sovereign people governing ourselves. But according to our Constitution, African Americans, people of Negro descent, are free to become citizens, are free to buy land. It is not open, you know, and it has never been open to people of non Negro descent. Some people try to say it's a racist clause, but my belief is that when they began crafting that Constitution in 1847, I believe that they felt that Black people could do this, that Black people had the same level of intellect, the same level of resilience to be able to build a country, and that we did not have to do this with non-Blacks. Okay, and that Constitution still stands today. So, what I always say to people, Liberia is a place that is deliberate. It's not an accident. It's a deliberate establishment for Black people to come together and be all that they need to be. And so we invite, you know, as you all come next year, we will take you around to see all the history that we have been able to preserve. You know, but you will feel the natural warmth of the people. You will feel the love. You will know that you're at home because it translates into the food, into our behavior, our dance, our music, everything we do. You feel the connection and you know you're home.
That's beautiful, family. Family, a whole lot of warm welcome invitation from Liberia. As uh, as we're highlighting our nice banner up there, BAIO Liberia banner, represented by our good brother Ross there. Are you familiar with Ross Newton? Right, he has a whole
Oh,
lot of
yes.
nice posts on there. Just wanted to confirm
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So as you can see, family, in sequence, a lot of us are working together, and that's what we want to show you that Pan Africanism towards nationhood is about. But my sister, appreciate you breaking it down. Literally, because what we try to do more so is put a lot of things in perspective versus just you know, because a lot of times you have to really go back and analyze, like you mentioned, and on your wonderful explanation of the preamble and the reason why our ancestors put certain things in it was to let us know that, you know, we can truly do certain things unique. So I'm telling you, family, all of this is one connection, and we're continuing it from generations to generation, and we're taking it to another level. So we have to figure these things out on our own. That way we can stay truly independent. Because that was the vision, right? A free, independent people. That's why I always love that. Uh, is it a coat of arms or banner? Liberty brought us,
The love of liberty
Love of liberty.
and I'm
brought us here. And was it your grandfather who wrote the song?
No, he wrote the goodness what's the other, not the
Lone Star.
anthem, lone, not
I'm about to prop it up right now. I like to show visual documents.
Forever. The Lone
not the
Star.
anthem.
No, that's not the
Yes,
answer.
no, yeah, no, my Edmund Barclay.
There you go,
Okay.
family. The love of liberty brought us here. Republic of Liberia.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that was laid out
you see
basically, as we know, as just the first republic, because at that point in Africa, all other nations were colonized by you know, by European nations. So the other country that people mention is Ethiopia, and I guess Ethiopia, they say it was never colonized but occupied. So Liberia basically became just that independent country in Africa, to where it's the only country that's never been occupied
by Europeans. Yeah.
never been colonized, and it's a true republic and a true independent nation. So family, that's the right there. The love of liberty brought us here, and you see the ship that's represent one of the ships reconnecting us from the African diaspora to the African continent. So that's that same move that we're building on, and it's the same movement, family. So always want everyone to understand that what we're doing is we're putting things in perspective, and we're going back to working with the countries that that are historic in our reconnection. So people always ask me about how I got to Ghana, and it's a similar connection, but Liberia goes further beyond what our connection was set up in Ghana, and most of that connection in Ghana is based on Kwame Nkrumah, which people.
He was born here.
I was about to ask you that because
Kwame Nkrumah was born in Liberia.
Really?
Of
I
course.
didn't even know that.
But I don't know if the Ghanaians want to hit. Okay. Hey, I'm just going by what I read. In the history, it says Nkrumah was born in Granbury. He moved it. He said, Bomani. Bomani says,
So there it goes, family. But yeah, that's what I was gonna honestly ask you. I was gonna ask you about that because I've heard that before. You're probably the second, third person, but I've heard these things before. But it's all good. And when one of the parts in Ghana that we do a tour is the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park in Accra, Ghana, and I've done over 20 presentations there because I've been there 20-something plus times. Yeah. And I don't recall that word Liberia, the country Liberia, or anything.
Okay, let me explain. But 1 second, let me explain something to you. So when I was a college student in Texas, right? A lady came over. I was just a college student. My mother brought this woman over to my apartment, and she said to me, she was my cousin, and I said, okay. She was Kwame Nkrumah's half sister, right? And she said she was related to us. So I'm thinking, I never bothered asking how, I just thought that was a bit interesting. But let me say this, half of my family are from that Liberian or African-American heritage. But the other half of my family are very indigenous to Liberia. We are from Maryland County. We're Gribble people, okay, the Gribbles. So the Gribble people sit on the border with Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. So Granbury B, once upon a time, was in Liberia. And that's when, according to history, Kwame Nkrumah's mother is from Maryland County. It's serious. And he was born in Granbury B. Okay? Granbury B actually became a part of Cote d'Ivoire. It's now a part of Cote d'Ivoire. But at that time, he was born. I can't wait to become Liberian. Yes, John, Kofi. John, this is the place. This is the country. Absolutely, absolutely. And we will welcome you. Yes. But it's amazing because we want the Ghanaians to say that, but they will never say it, but we Liberians will say it. Great, I can't wait to become Liberian.
Okay.
That is beautiful. Appreciate you breaking down, because family, that's what we're doing here. We're here to break down that history, that connection, and our relevance, because our goal, if people want to know our end goal, because people probably wonder, what is Bomani up to? Every minute I seen him and Kala and other people talking about Liberia, because at one point all we talked about was Ghana, then we did many other countries, but I was telling people that I can only, as far as like beyond tours, like investment and and doing some serious business in a country, you're limited on countries. So I was telling them that what we're gonna do is we're gonna build up the energy to do all of these things in Liberia, and we're gonna work for it to be that country. So in order for us to get there, I'm telling people we're gonna break down a whole lot of history and a whole lot of relevance. Because it's easier for people to make a connection when things are relevant to them. Example, you don't hear about a lot of Black people in America talking about they going to Chad, Niger, or certain other parts of Africa. I mean, people do go to different countries, but the countries that are going to be popular, like the country that's popular is Ghana, based on Kwame Nkrumah, based on that connection of him being here on the East Coast when he's a student and being a part of the Pan-African movement, as far as it's organized with different scholars and different leaders to build what we know today as, OAU and the independence movement in Africa.
And they need to add that to the list of places.
You mean Senegal?
OAU village
Okay.
or the OAU building.
Okay. What? No, go ahead and explain.
Yeah,
Is it in the same area? Is it in Senegal or is it somewhere else?
well, I'm referring to the OAU conference that happened here in Liberia under the former president Talbert. When I was a teenager, they had an OAU conference here, and there's an area where there's where the conference center is, where there's still some murals and different, artwork and cultural things that could be added as a.
Oh, it's there.
It is
Okay.
there.
Yes, it's on the
Yeah,
list.
Yes, it's there. Great.
Awesome.
and yeah, so me and literally that's our brother Ross Newton there. We literally went to all of the important things of what we feel like would be connected to us,
Yes,
connect our, you know,
yes, yes,
connect us from the Americas to the African continent,
yes,
or
yes,
connect us specifically to what's going on in Liberia and make it as relevant as
yeah,
possible. So these are the
exactly.
list of things that's on there. So
Yes,
while,
yes,
while
yes,
while we're working on this over the next few months, even whenever you think about certain things, I can always add some notes or some
yes,
optionals.
yes,
Because what I'm
yes.
trying to do is put together, the best package, because that's why I tell people we specialize in this real hardcore roots and culture.
Mhm.
But we know that there's so much misconception about Liberia that I get
Mhm.
stressed out when I'm talking to people about Liberia and traveling with us. So we just letting people know that these are all the historical connections that's going to get you. And then also we have a nice, wonderful resort that you're going to stay at. It's a 4-star resort. You're right there on the beach. So all your comfort and all those things are included, along with all the history. So I'm looking for us to build up from here on, and then get more of us in, because we're trendsetters. I usually tell people when it wasn't popular to do certain things, we got into the game, and now you build that professionalism. I would love to get us to be connected to more investors that will say, hey, I came to Liberia and then now I want to build a factory. I want to build an incredible business enterprise or establishment, and I want to create opportunities for our people there, or create more opportunities to where we can go back and forth and keep that keep that connection going strong. So family, these are the list of things, and definitely let me know anything else you see on there that is very relevant that's not on there, because I want to make sure we get it all.
Okay. You want to say what we can?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to add, talking about the connection, the African American connection to Liberia, almost huh, a lot of families, um, uh, that are from Liberia can connect themselves, to different parts of the U.S. and the Caribbean. And I just like to throw in, personal experience. More recently, I have, through DNA analysis, 23andMe ancestry, I have my family, through the forts from, Alabama, Eufaula, Alabama, I recently connected to some of my family members from Alabama and the U.S. Um, uh, uh, um, um, through the Fort family connection. And our ancestor, which I just recently, researched and found out about, Willis Willis Fort, was, instrumental in, bringing a group of families from that area in Georgia, the U.S. Georgia, as well as Alabama, to Liberia, more particular, Bexley, Buchanan, Grand Bassa, back in 1868 on the ship Golconda. So I recently connected to some of our direct family members in the person of Senator Vincent Fort of, Georgia. He was a state senator there, and I recently connected to some of our family members there and his children, Zoe and Zan. So, I just encourage folks be more inquisitive about what your ancestry or your family background, and to just make those connections. So I made that connection, and to family that's stayed behind in the U.S. Back in the 60s, 50s, back then. And it's just amazing how much history can be garnered by just being inquisitive.
Absolutely, yes. That's the we're gonna wait for Hester to come back with family. Let me just
Yeah, and to jump in on that, Senator Vincent Fort, he, when we did finally meet, it was very emotional because he told me, we have been looking for you all. Because he had more information about Willis Fort, because Willis Fort was basically a politician in Atlanta. He was, and it was all geared towards um, uh, helping folks leave the oppression that they felt in the South, in Georgia and Alabama, to get to this wonderful place, Liberia, where people were free to express themselves and live their lives, and educate their children in peace. So he was telling me a lot of history that I had never heard from my family members, my mother, grandmother before. And that encouraged me to kind of dig a little bit further in Google Books and the American Colonization Society repository, to find out, reading letters. There was one thing that really, there was one little clip that talked about Willis Fort, how he was so passionate about gathering folks to get on this ship, to come to Liberia, to come to freedom and a refuge, that when they were trying to get to Savannah to get on the ship, he camped out in tent. They camped out in tents, waiting to get on this ship with with a hundred people and all their families. And and the kind of resistance that they got from the political system here in Georgia, because at that point so many people wanted to leave the South. So many Black free families wanted to leave, that the establishment was concerned that there would be nobody left to really do the work that they didn't want to do. So there was a lot of resistance. There was a lot of rumors about, if you get on this ship, you're going to end up in Cuba. You're never going to get to Africa. So it was just so emotional for me to kind of realize the passion that our ancestor Willis Fort had. So I just encourage everyone to kind of research all their background. Some people have already, but I just more recently did mine. So that's why I'm so excited.
Oh yes, I appreciate it. So family, that was a very impressive vision. I mean, again, I know we talk about this at the beginning. Our ancestors literally just, I mean, because once you get on a ship back in those times, I mean, you don't know where you're gonna end up at. I mean, it's you're out there in the elements, the ocean, from pirates to many things. I mean, you just really had to just want this, to the highest level, and some of our ancestors stayed and some of our ancestors went. So that's why we're talking about this connection, family. But the part that we want to continue is the part of how we stay connected. And Esther, you told me a situation, and I didn't really think about it, but we talk about the ships going. How long were the ships going, and then what happened when the ships stopped going from America to Liberia? Since we're talking about that period of their passion, their vision to keep on going, I want to know if it kind of stopped or something happened.
Well, what happened was that no, there was not because of empty. What happened was you had no, she said because they were emptying out America. No, it wasn't the case. What happened was that you had these ships. The idea was that you would have this place where there'll be a continual
Migration.
flow of migration of people coming, after, especially after independence. But then you had America in 1864. I believe that's when the Emancipation Proclamation took place. So when the Emancipation Proclamation happened, the ships, that was the year the ships stopped coming.
Wow.
All right. So the
But not necessarily,
emancipation,
no, not
it was the
necessarily,
same.
no. It was Reconstruction. After Reconstruction,
Mhm.
when things got really terrible for the free, African Americans that were struggling to coexist
Mhm.
with a group of people who formerly enslaved them, that was when some
No, they had challenges in trying to get the ships filled. But according with when you do look at the history, the timeline,
yes,
it coincides with 1864
yeah,
because
it's slowing down.
America was no longer going to fund, this movement. So the ships, because what used to happen was when the ships would come, instead of going back empty, they would carry things like cocoa and coffee and palm oil and those things back to
Yes,
America. So they
yes.
had
So it was a trade.
it was a
trade
trade
route.
route for them. And so it was
Export.
funding the Liberian economy. But when the ships stopped
Stopped
coming,
coming.
the economy of Liberia collapsed
Yeah.
because you no longer had, and then America began buying, for example, coffee. Before they were buying things like the Liberica coffee. Now they began buying things like the Arabica out of Europe and what have you. And instead of palm oil, they began buying the other oils that were coming from,
It really was a form
so
of-
it was really
a form of, what do you call it?
it,
Sanction.
not it wasn't deliberate, but
Yes.
it just coincided,
Yes. Yes, it was
and
a form of sanctioning.
so you had a president that came afterwards who was E.J. Roy. So when President E.J. Roy came into power, he was not one of those African American. I don't believe he was an African American.
Yes, he was.
They said Nigerian. He
E.J.
was.
Roy? No.
Go back and read it.
I thought he was from the East Coast somewhere. He was a merchant or
I'm not
something.
sure. I'm not sure, but he had to deal with this economic problem, and so I think E.J. Roy decided to reach back to America to get some money to get a loan,
Yeah.
and that loan I think caused his death. Because there were those who felt that he had gotten the money and misused it or eaten it or what have you, and so he was actually one of the first presidents of Liberia that was really dark skinned. Prior to that, if you look at most of the presidents, they were really, really fair skinned. But he really is the president who had to deal with this economic downturn. But when you do study some or read some of the history, you find in American history, I don't know how true it is. Like I said, I try to read, all the time to understand a little better. But somewhere in one of the readings, one of the things that I read, it said that America's immigration really started with Liberia. America, the whole immigration system that America has today started because of Liberia. So I'm not sure how true that is, but
Migration out of America.
immigration, their immigration system
Away from or
no immigration system as it is today in America, it began because of the Liberia America situation. So I'm not quite sure, but it was some, in all of my what I tried to do last year. Let me just say this: we did a nationwide tour of Liberia, along with an organization that I work with called the International Trade Center. And the purpose of the tour was to get a good understanding as to what tourism resources Liberia had. So we work in collaboration with the Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs, and Tourism. So the director of tourism and I took the trip across the country, visiting all the sites around Liberia and gathering all of that. It was called the Compendium of Resources. So, from there, a lot of research, when I came back, I mean, countless nights, just day in, day out, sleepless nights to put together a 250-page document that really details what Liberia has in terms of tourism resources. And it also describes the situation as it is now and what it will take to develop Liberia's tourism. And so in that process of understanding, one of our critical resources is our heritage. And a key part of that is the African American story. And so trying to understand that story from the Maryland Colonization Society, because without dragging out the conversation, you had you had the Maryland of Africa, you had the Mississippi of Africa, and then you had the American Colonization Society. So you did at one time have a place in Liberia that was called Maryland of Africa, that joined and became what is now Maryland County. You did have Mississippi of Africa, which the capital to it became Sino, and the capital of that is Greenville, because most of the people that went into that part of Liberia came from Mississippi. So when you do go into Sino, for example, they still have what they call the Mississippi Blues Bar.
Wow.
You know, you still have so many the homes, that look so much like what you would see in Mississippi, but they all settled in Mississippi. When you go into Maryland, they even have a grave site that I visited in Maryland from the 1800s that have so many African Americans that were buried there that came early in the Maryland of Africa movement, and just so much history. It's going to take. I mean, it's going to take a lot of trips, Bomani, to get to all these different parts of Liberia. Monrovia, of course, named after President James Monroe, is one aspect of the story. I see that Ras Dunbar included on the list Robert Sport. That's another part of the story. When you go into Robert Sport, you see a lot of history there as well. You go into Grand Bassa County,
Buchanan.
Edina, Buchanan, you see so much history. So it's really interesting because these tours will give you the real sense of
Connection.
what really happened. Yeah, and I'll end there. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Absolutely, family, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to connect you with a rich history and culture, and get you connected to what's very relevant to you. So, family, I'm gonna just click on one comment I saw earlier, was and tied into what we're doing, and also what I do have right here that I just showed. Move the banner. Oh, that's one of your videos, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure which one that is.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dance.
Oh yes, okay, that's with Dr. Kula. Yes.
Right, perfect. So, family, we're gonna play that soon, and that's one of the things we have set to where it's relevant to the subject that we're gonna talk to as we close out on the rich history and connect you to what we got going on in this modern day time. So that's what the year of the diaspora is all about. But we're definitely going to get into that. I'm sure you're ready for that also. And so the one star, and I want to actually find a person comment. I'm just looking for comments for us to explain certain things. And it should be right here. Here we go. So Angie said, also talk about our flag and the significance of our Lone Star.
No, I don't.
Because your grandfather wrote the
No,
song.
I'm not talking about.
So the Lone Star is, if you look at our flag, it looks like the American flag, 11 stripes, red, white, and blue, and one star that represents the Lone Star of Africa. So that is, so it meant, we're the Lone Star. Like I said, a lot was crafted after America because that was what they knew. And so even the flag, 7 women made the flag, and again, all free blacks that joined and designed the flag of Liberia. Yeah, but that's what it is. And her grandfather wrote the song "The Lone Star Forever."
No,
The grandfather, uncle,
My great grandfather's
great-grandfather's nephew.
President Edwin J. Barclay.
And they were from Barbados.
Yes, that's another connection that I have. My name Barclay represents the Caribbean connection.
Yeah.
From Barbados, along with other families in Liberia, the Padmores, the Grinds, the Wows, the Weeks, well,
Yeah, the Barbados people. Yeah.
Well, what I'm gonna do is load up that video, and then we can talk about that the fresh program that we're looking to all get involved in more and more, because that ceremony right there, that was the first one in a long time that a ceremony was done as far as that history, that connection, because it showed. I always saw 200 years anniversary That was what was going on last year. You just saw it in a lot of different places. So before then, I wanted to find out, were there any other programs as of recent before the year of the diaspora 2022?
Nothing that I can think of, no.
Right. Just want to make sure that we cover that.
Trying to think, was there a 100-year one? That was the 100-year would have been 1947.
Long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No,
I
that
can't
never
really
can think
comment.
of. No,
Whether there was,
me either.
maybe some of the, maybe we should include it, Dr. Dunn.
Perfect. So let's just share this video shortly, and then we can just talk some more about it.
Org. See you in Liberia.
All right, that was beautiful. That was a nice welcome energy.
Yeah.
So that, I guess that's like the foundation over the last 2 years, just pushing that reconnection. So we're all in the same energy as far as the tour that we're doing, and as far as us connecting together. It's all about us welcoming our brothers and sisters from the African diaspora to be a part of the future of Liberia. So I want to actually, let me unmute you. So what I want to ask you is, how is that going, and what is the vision to make it stronger and to be more effective?
Okay, there you go. What we're doing now with the Year of the Diaspora is working on tours. So we just concluded a tour in December that was all about Edina, which is in Grand Bassa County. So we're doing more of that, just more and more tours. That's basically where we are now.
Excellent, and that's a good foundation and a good start. So the foundation, as far as the Ministry of Tourism and the tour promotion information, those are slowly getting out more and more.
Yes, absolutely.
And so one of the things that we love to see, family, is we love to see more information as far as just highlights and the different tour sites and places like that. So when we do our tours, when we definitely get to Liberia, that is the goal. The goal is to show you our versions of highlights and this energy from restaurants to tour sites to to business conferences. Just us enjoying ourselves, relaxing on the beach, shopping, us out there networking, us just having a good connection to where we're just opening up our minds to see how things are going in the country, and just having more of a visual, and then being able to share it with people directly and also online. So I want to find out from you some of the these tours that are going on. Are we getting documentation of the tours and the sites and places like that? And are we just sharing them online, because we have to just get more documentation out?
Actually, yes, we're trying to do as much as we can in terms of documenting, what, we take photos as we go. Of course, everybody that's involved in the tours tend to take photos. So we're doing some kind of some documenting. Um, hmm. If you were to go online to enjoyliberia.travel, you will be able to see quite a bit of Liberia.
There you go, family. So more and more documentation is coming out, and as I mentioned to you, we'll get some more documentation out. Our brother Kala is going to be making his move soon, so hopefully he can get as much wonderful documentation, um, just like he got some last time. So with all of that, we just keep on building information, and that's what I'm telling people that this stuff is hard work, and you have to just keep putting it out there because uh, you know you have so much other information out there, and people tend to just gravitate to certain things. So
Right.
one of the things people will mention to you is about civil war. So I'm telling people that when we look at all the countries that we're dealing with, all countries that we are dealing with have had the historic energy of the civil unrest, which is rather say, and also overthrown of governments and things like that. You name the countries that has been through it. So I tell people don't single out the countries that we have on our tour schedule and things like that, because
Right.
but also I tell people that all these things that have gone on, we go through a period of you know, of civil unrest, and then we rebuild, and then we build to the future. And that's what I explain to people about countries that we started going to, like Ghana, same thing, and so on. And I'm also telling people that those few years of those situations doesn't define a whole era of our reconnection and what's going on in the country. Uh, so definitely want to always keep it positive, because these are the information that are out, that people gravitate towards. So we're putting out information about all the things that are going on, not just one or two things. So you can have a clear understanding that what we're doing is connecting to the African continent, to where our goal is to this build together as a people. We
Right.
have already been through all the things that we've been through as a people, from here in the Americas to there in the African continent. Now everything has to be a time frame where it's focused on what we're going to do in the future, uh, how we're going to build a great connection for our children to be leaders, to be visionaries, to be able to build the industries that we need so we can create opportunities for all of us. So there's a lot of work to get involved in. I tell people, whether you're coming to Liberia or coming to Africa with us, if you live in America, you have things you can also do, and we can all work together. And that's why our show is called Pan Africanism towards nationhood. And we're always talking about building that global Black business pipeline. So that's what we're doing, family. And you're doing import export, or you're going back and forth and making moves from America, the Caribbean islands, South America, the African continent, our Black world, and we have that whole connection right there. That's a whole lot of water in between, a
Right.
whole lot of space and land, and some of the most tropical and best land that you're gonna see. And that's,
Right.
and we have a high population along that entire region I just mentioned. So, family, let's put the energy together. And one of the ways we always say we do it is the tours. So, even if you're not coming with us, and you want to be open to investments and other things in Liberia, we have wonderful people. And also, for those who are open to consultation, you can reach out to me. And then once you reach out to me, I have Hester Baker, I have Dr. Kula, and a few other people that we can see who can work with you to get things done. And they're all professionals, and I'm sure you all do professional consultations, right? Because if I can't cover certain things, if you call me about certain things, especially if you call me about Liberia now, they want to actually move there and do some things. You're one of the people that's now be looking at to reach out, because one things we always want to let people know that we're not just telling you about a program about living, doing business, and connecting to Africa. We're open to working with you. We're not just telling you that, hey, go here and do this. We're telling you things that we can practically connect you with and work with you on. So we have the whole scope of Africa. So that's why our company is called Africa for the Africans. Tours and investment. The tours are great, and it build a foundation, and it's a great introduction. But there's going to be a small percentage of people who may want to take it to another level, and we want to let you know that we are ready for you in all aspects.
Yes, and we welcome you. I mean, we're, in Liberia. When you come, the foods, you will taste some of our fufu and soup, our dumbo, and maybe if you like goat, we'll give you some good goat soup. But then at the same time, you'll be able to eat the best jollof rice in West Africa. You always have this Jealous rice war, where Liberia says we're the best, Senegal says we're the best, Ghana, Nigeria, but we believe in Liberia we have the best food in West Africa, and our cooking again because of the fusion. It's a real fusion of the African American. If you taste our foods, if you're from Louisiana, you will see a lot of similarities in our spices, in the types of foods, we eat and what have you. So we really, want everybody to understand that when you come, you will enjoy the culture. Dancing. Ooh, we love to dance, and good times. Oh my gosh, Liberians love good times. So, and we're very free, very open people. It's something about us that's very unique. When people come, and I hear this a lot from African Americans, is that when they come, they just feel comfortable in Liberia. It's like your home. So and I know for sure it's because of so many families, that are connected. So I really believe when people come, they that, like I see Angie Brewer that's posting in there. Angie told me a story about the Brewers. How the Brewers from Liberia connected with the Brewers from the U.S. and they had a family reunion. And then the Brewers in America came to Liberia and had a family reunion in Liberia as well. So, it's about connecting families too, So hopefully on this tour, if there are African Americans out there who have heard that they might have some family connection to Liberia, maybe you've done your 23andMe and you see that connection, it will be good, to connect with Bomani and see if we can connect your family. We can find maybe your family on the ground that we can connect to you because it's very doable, it's very possible. So we really hope that next year will be a reunion of sorts as well as, yes, the investment portion, because again, Liberia's investment is open to African Americans, and we really believe that the Constitution give that power. And so we can do many, many great things. There are many people who have land in Liberia that I'm sure would be willing to partner, with African Americans. You have our soil in Liberia is absolutely amazing. So when you talk about agriculture, we tend to say in Liberia, anything you throw on the ground grows, because we have a very rich soil. Most of the year we have rain. When I say most of the year, about from you have from May, June, July, all the way up until October are rainy months. So you have an excellent period of just food, agriculture, and growth. We also have, of course, Liberia is very rich in minerals, diamonds, gold, all of that. It's a very rich country. And in terms of tourism, beaches, mountains, waterfalls, um, islands, all kinds of beautiful natural tourism resources. So it's a place that is free and ripe for investments. We had, yes, a troubled path, past that happened from 1980 up until 2003. And unfortunately, during those years, Liberia's growth and development was stifled. But what that has done is left room for a lot of investments. So Liberia is almost like a new destination to invest in. So and nobody better to invest than our own African American brothers and sisters, and those from the diaspora, just Pan Africans, Negroes from all around the world. This is where we want you to come and invest because it's just what it should be. It makes sense. Not that we don't take investments. Of course, we have investments from all over the world. You have all colors that are investing in Liberia. What we are saying is that per the Constitution, there's an amazing inroad for the Negro to invest in Liberia. We, the Negro of the Negro race, this is where we want to see investments, and we have the land, we have the opportunities. We just need to sit, talk, look at them, and figure out how to move forward.
There you go, family. And in order for us to do that, family, open your minds to taking you a journey to the country of Liberia. And so, if you're asking me, family, how you get to Liberia, because that's one of the questions people are going to ask you. So, what I'll tell you is you definitely have to get a visa, even though you're a U.S. citizen. And you definitely have to get a plane ticket so you can fly there. There's no boat routes for you to get your cruise ship. So, what you do, I give you a good example of the route. Like here from Atlanta, we'll fly to New York City, and from New York City, we'll get on a Royal Air Morocco flight, and then we'll connect to Casablanca in Morocco, and then from there, short layover, and then we'll fly directly to Roberts International Airport there outside of Monrovia, Liberia, and that is how you get to Liberia. And then since we're doing tourism, and all of people that we're working with are in tourism, we'll work together to get you picked up, and then have you a nice schedule and get you around the country. And since you have your establishment there, you can just take them to your resort. Yeah, so that's an
Oh, yeah,
example.
I see that on the end of the video. The last shot on that video is Elizabeth Village, which is my resort as well. It's in Buchanan.
So there you go, family. So we have the dates up for the organized tours. We also let you know that people that Esther Baker and our connection there in Liberia, that's what they do. They do professional tourism also, and they're part of that whole movement and energy to accommodate you there in Liberia. So we wouldn't be telling you about anything unless we can fully connect you, and that's a full connection because once they're in the country with you, you're gonna show them all of the wonderful things that need to be done, and get them connected on what they need to do. So as far as the investments, family, it's a situation where more and more once you get to the country, you can see land, you can see the country, you can process information, because that's what I'm always telling people, that don't make any quick decisions. I know people just get all excited. I tell them that way you can just put things really in perspective and get a real energy of what's going on, and then you can be clear, and then you can get into all the ins and outs as far as how government work, as far as starting business and setting things up. So I don't know if you want to get more into that consultation and how business and things get started in Liberia.
It's a simple process. We have what we call the one-stop shop, which is the Liberia Business Registry. So once you go to the registry, they do everything for you, from your incorporation to your business registration. So it's very easy. So we do encourage, once you come, it's very easy for us to make all of that connection for you.
And perfect. So there you go, family. So that's set up for you. And then if you want to just enjoy this paradise, she has a resort there. You can just enjoy paradise on the resort. And then I guess the people we have set up for transportation can take them around. Depends on what part of the country they want to go around.
Right, right. We're here to help. I mean, we have time for planning, so it's great if people can also begin stating their interests. What types of things they might be interested in. And there's a website for the National Investment Commission. I believe is www.nic-maybe lr.org. I believe, or I'm sorry, NIC dot. Anyway, the easiest way, because I don't know it offhand, is National Investment Commission Liberia. Once you go to that, Google that, you should be able to get onto the NIC website. If you are interested in agriculture, of course, just Google agriculture Liberia, Ministry of Agriculture, and that should also get you some information as well. Um, if all else fails, reach out to Bomani, and then he can reach out to us and let us know what your interest is, and then we will see what we can do to make sure we make some connections, and try to see what we can do from our side to make sure that once you hit the ground, you are at least a step ahead. Once you get on the ground.
So there you go, family. So we're letting you know that we got you covered in all aspects of things. And so if you want an organized tour with us based on those dates, or if you want something private, or if you just literally just is you and one or two people, we can work those things out. And that's
Yeah.
the flexibility of our organized operation, as we have this strong connection from America to Liberia to this
Yeah.
build a great future. So
I do encourage that you visit the website, the enjoyliberia.travel, because it will show you at least the tourism sites. You can navigate it and see what opportunities are there for tourism.
there you go, family. All information at your fingertips. You do have one video with you at the monument of the first president. I can
Right.
definitely play some of that if you want to talk about. That way we can do the visual. You did go into it earlier.
Okay.
And me trying to find this one comment. Matter of fact, let me see if anybody would like to join. I'm looking for comments that, especially of anything that we haven't covered. So, family, please post your comments, and let me just post the invite link for if anyone want to join us before we close. Don't want to hold you up. Sometimes we can get long with these live calls. We got to set. I usually don't have a specific length as long as it's just based on flexibility. So let me know if you have another 10, 15 minutes or if the call is going too long. But
I'm good.
all right. Appreciate your flexibility and time. So, family, we're making ourselves available to share this wonderful information with you about Liberia and what we're doing in our vision and the future. So, this is the link if you want to join us. You just click on it, test your mic and your video. You don't have to have the video on, but test your mic, make sure your mic is good, and you can join us and we can dialogue. So that is the link. And what we do, we'll keep on going, and I'll look out to see if anyone is joining, or look out to see if anyone want to post, or if anyone have any comments posted that we can go through. All right, somebody this is a flight route. I was just making sure I knew what that was. All right, so it's not a bad flight route then. Ethiopian Air to Togo from DC or New York, and from Togo to Liberia. All right, so the Askai flight from Togo, which is Askai Airlines head base. So that flight will go directly from Togo directly to Monrovia, or will it stop somewhere? Example like Ghana or Sierra Leone. If you,
It's going to go through Togo, and so Togo will be your connector.
no, but from Togo, is it a direct to Liberia, or does it
It's
stop
dir-
somewhere else?
it should be direct because you'll get onto A Sky, and then A Sky is direct.
All right, perfect. So Askai has become family one of those uh, popular options in West Africa, and that's Ethiopia subsidiary or Connection Airlines. For those who are not familiar with Askai, that's A ASKY Airlines, and headquarters and base is in Togo, West Africa. So as we talk about flight routes, there you go, family. Just share two with you, one on Royal Air Maroc and one on Ethiopian Airlines and Askai Airlines. So this is two African-owned airlines as we pushed for the energy of supporting Black/African-owned business, and that's what the itinerary is made up of. 100% of what you're experiencing is African-owned operation. So those are two options to get to Liberia. Uh, we have to put one schedule on there, so it's never always finalized. If we find out that the schedule that we're looking at right now is better, and we'll definitely work with it. And then in some cases, you may have some members taking one sequence of flight, and then some taking another sequence of flight. So we want to let you know that we are professionals, and we got you covered from all aspect of it. And I got my good brother Collagenesis here. We're going to be working on this side, and I have people in Liberia. They're going to be working on that side, and we have people going back and forth. So we're all working together. This is something that we're looking to push to make big and strong, and push the strong effort, because we don't believe in putting our time, energy, and effort and not being fully effective. So that's what we're doing, family. So that's why when you're on our website, africaforafricans.org, you'll see all the information, and even on our YouTube page right now, this interview and this program about Liberia, it's in a playlist of a few other programs as we've been working on pushing more energy on the importance of why and how we can connect to Liberia.
So I just sent you a link, Bomani. And it's a video, it's a tourism video that kind of shows you a little bit about Liberia. So I don't know if if you want to click on that and just look at it, a show. I just send it by WhatsApp to you.
Oh, definitely. I'm absolutely. This looked like something I've seen before, so this is
Okay.
perfect. So let me get this loaded.
Okay.
Let me get this loaded, and then we'll definitely talk about this. And let me see if there's any other comments to post. So yes, Hessa, really appreciate your time talking about this, and we can always do more and more as time come along. And
Absolutely.
I really feel that's what it takes to to open up people's mind. And the good thing about what we're talking about is 100% relevant to them, which most of our audience of people who travel with us or do anything with us, regardless of wherever they're from, they're here in America. Even though some people come from other parts of the known Black world. So it's
Great.
it's something that we just want to just keep on pushing and sharing more information, even if we have to sometimes repeat the same information, or sometimes have different presenters share certain things similar. But
Yeah.
it's a part of this how we have to we have to educate our minds. Like myself, I have to keep on reading through the information and looking at it and process it. And after a year now, or close to a year, all of these things about Liberia and the different parts and the location, and even when you talk about 15 counties, and I'm always thinking about counties. I live here in Georgia. They have counties. And
Oh.
then I think about countries like Tanzania and Ghana. I was like, well, they don't, or South Africa. I was like, they don't have counties. And
Yeah.
so, this is a real unique connection. So, family, our goal as Africa for Africans is to give you those connections to the African countries. Uh, any country is okay and everything, but I always find that it's easier to work with relevance and things like that. So people always ask me, how do you get all these people to go to Ghana and what's going on in Ghana? I was like, it's a relevance and a connection. And when the government is marketing like the year of return, and when people are going and sharing positive energy, things grow. So we look to for Liberia to be that representation of West Africa, because we feel like it has more historical connections, and some of the people that normally may not go with us to like somewhere like Ghana or Senegal and Gambia, just any country in West Africa, they may see that they have a unique connection based on that 201 year 1822 settlement. And I honestly really feel like for some people who may never have any interest in Africa, and if they
Right.
literally process that and connect to that could even be a difference maker. Because once I started seeing that myself, it has started this, it then started becoming more relevant. And once you start reading into it, you're like, hey, you know what? Even if nothing else, I need to go to this country, Liberia. I need to find out more. And maybe I was looking at too much information that was steering me in the wrong way. So that's what we're gonna do, family. So I'm gonna load this video up, and do you want to do an introduction about what this video is about, and I'll get it set up.
Okay, that video is just showing like a landscape view of Liberia, the beauty of it. So it shows the waterfalls, it shows the mountains. It's really just an overview of the tourism for Liberia, just the natural landscape, and not necessarily doesn't go into the hotels and all that, but just the landscape. So you get to see the beauty of the country and the uniqueness of it. For example, one of the clips is an island in the middle of the sea. It's called Trongbe Island, and you have a lot of mountains, some beautiful waterfalls, and so on. So you get to see that it's a beautiful country. It's a small country with beautiful beaches and all that. Yeah.
All right, so family, here is a video, and
in the wilderness of West Africa's largest remaining rainforests are amazing discoveries. So Liberia's breathtaking beaches, thrilling green mountains, cascading waterfalls amidst rich biodiversity. Unique confluences. Up close and personal encounters with nature. Unparalleled point breaks and impressive waves. Adventure-filled rainforests. Discovered an authentic, exotic cultural mix of unparalleled traditions and heritage. Meet the friendliest and most free-spirited people. Visit Liberia. Experience our openness, authenticity, and optimism that will keep you longing and coming back for more, again and again and again. Liberia, amazing discoveries, the new tourism brand of Liberia.
The Liberia tourism brand and marketing strategy have been developed with the technical support of the International Trade Center in partnership with the government of Liberia and the United Nations World Tourism Organization under the Liberia Tourism Development Project, funded by the Enhanced Integrated Framework Program.
She's back.
All right, perfect. Appreciate you sharing those videos. Definitely want to let people know that the energy is out there, and we're just letting you know that we got you on this wonderful energy about Liberia. And now you did have another video. I wanted at least this load up that way. All right, just show part of it just for now. That is the video that you had that you sent me at the actual monument itself.
Yes.
So I want to play some of this real quick and put into perspective of what you spoke about earlier. And but let me know if you want to talk about anything in reference to the video that we just showed.
Okay, so what we did last year was to develop the brand, a new brand for Liberia. And we had several consultations with stakeholders in Liberia to decide what a Liberia brand could look like. And so we decided that, with so much, we all, had so many engagements and came up with amazing discoveries, because we feel that Liberia is truly a discovery. When many people do not know a lot about us, not beyond the heritage. People don't realize that, when it comes to surfing, for example, Liberia is rated one of the top 10 places in the world for surfing, the best places for surfing. People don't realize that, we have so many different beaches and waterfalls and mountains. It's a small country, but it's very diverse in terms of the landscape and nature, adventure and forest bodies. Liberia is home to the largest remaining portion of what they call the Upper Guinea rainforest, which is one of the most important remaining rainforests in the world. Liberia owns 40% of that, which is, the largest portion of that forest in this part of the world. So it's, and that forest is, at the beginning of the video, we saw that with with the Sino River running through that. But you walk into that forest and it has rapids in there. There are waterfalls in there. So it's just a beautiful country. And it's ripe for investments, tourism investments. So we're hoping that people will come and be bold enough to explore some of it and look at it for possible, if you want to build a resort, hey, go right ahead. Whatever it is you want to do, we want to invite people, to come. She says, yes, Liberia needs investors after our, yes. I agree, 100%.
So please come. Excellent. So family, you're getting a warm welcome energy to Liberia. So we're just getting your your energy and your mind ready, because we want to make basically repatriation and reconnection to Africa as simple and organized as possible.
Yes.
And I truly feel that that you have a you have a special connection to where for some people that are looking for something special in Africa, that this will be it for them. Yeah.
We believe so.
And then the good thing about it, they can use their American passport. They don't have to they don't have to have citizenship in Liberia, right? They can use their American passport, since we're talking about mainly people from America. Or say example, uh, if you're a Jamaican national and you have your Jamaican passport, uh, that is still that's a diplomatic connection, right? That to where you can get to Liberia, even though you have to get a visa. Maybe if you have a Jamaican passport, you may not need a visa, but sometimes I don't always.
So you do need a visa. With Liberia, we don't. What we can do, we can do visa on delivery. But
Right.
again, you want to make sure you make those arrangements in advance.
So all countries basically, whether you're from, whether it's American passport or from the Caribbean islands, they all require you have a Liberian visa.
Yes.
But when they
You
get
have
to Liberia, they can use whether it's your Jamaican passport or your American passport, you can use it to get involved in business, and you
Yes,
can
you can. Yeah.
you can I guess acquire land, and you can own properties and things like that. Just want to make sure it's clear for people,
Yes.
because it's a lot of popular thing going on right now where it's about citizenship. So in Sierra Leone, people are connecting to Sierra Leone and they're getting their citizenship and their passport. So I just wanted to make the difference, because people always want to know, can I get involved in business? Can I own this and things? And it's not the same from every country. So I just wanted us to make sure that we have that clear piece. So family, you have easy access to get into the country, to know, do what you need to do. So only thing that's left now is for you to go there, and our, our ancestors set up a whole lot of energy and an incredible foundation. That way, you're not just going somewhere that's just started creating a program. This program has been created for over 200 years,
Right.
the longest running reconnection program to the African continent. So definitely want to make sure that everyone is clear about what we're talking about. And good sister, Elizabeth, is there anything else you want to add? And I appreciate both of our sisters. Busy, busy ladies that are doing what they're doing, but they're taking time out in this early morning here in America. It's 11:16 here in the East Coast, so it's in the afternoon there in Liberia. It's about like 5 hours ahead. So they're taking time out to connect with us. So wanted to know if anyone would like to join us for questions or post any questions before we have to close out soon.
And one more thing I want to say, it with Liberia, you don't have to get a Liberian partner to do business.
All
You
right.
come in, you're free, to do business in Liberia. And, you also can, try to get citizenship and what have you. It's open to Negroes, or that word is so funny. Going back to what the Constitution said, the word used, we never changed that yet. Well, we are Negroes. So I'm saying that it's open to people of African descent. That's politically correct.
Yeah, the times have changed over the period of time, right? Because whenever I read it, whenever I'm looking at any of Marcus Garvey documentation from his readings to his books, it's you always hear the word, and so hopefully people know what we're talking about, and hopefully they don't.
I hope so too. It's confusing at times, man. It's like I probably think 20 years from now, 30 years from now, there might be a different term. So the term keeps changing. So but we know we're talking about Pan-Africanism and people of Pan-African descent.
Even when you look at the Spanish language, that's the word that's used to for black.
Negro, Negroid, all kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah, family. When I'm talking about, we have been through it. We have been through it, sliced, divided, cut, tossed aside, and all aspects of this things. So when you talk about reconnection, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about rebuilding our energy, and that 1822 connection of really this, was really the foundation of what we're dealing with now today. and people like myself is in that movement, and we're dedicated to making it work, and we see the great valuable connection. So we want to create more and more connections to multiple countries across the African continent, so we can all build this global Black business pipeline, and we're dead serious about that. But want to find out if Dr. Elizabeth want to share anything with us that maybe you feel like we haven't covered before I play this one video.
I think we covered a lot of ground today. I just want to say to invite people to do their own research about Liberia. Liberia has such a unique history on the continent of Africa, and I kind of feel we've been kind of I don't want to say overlooked, but you know we need to take more pride in our unique history, we ourselves, and to let the world know that that we're proud of this history, despite all the challenges and all the occurrences that have occurred. But I just think we need to dig deep into our histories individually as well as globally, and you know, take advantage of making those connections because that's the only way we can move forward on this continent by reconnecting and making those connections and building on those connections.
There you go, family. So that's what we're doing, family. So we are working together and creating this strong energy to make this as relevant as possible. So this is the year 2023. We won't be going to Liberia until next year. So family, if you're ready to go, maybe the next month or so, you're looking at two wonderful people here that are willing to work with you. And as you know, once you reach out to us, we'll organize things and we'll put things in place. And then we have our good brother Ross. So it's a new family affair, and that's what we feel like we need to do, family. We need to do more networking, connecting together, and that's what Pan-Africanism is about. Us working together effectively to to build our future. So let me show that wonderful video, and appreciate you sharing this video with me. That was a nice video on the site. So family, this is the video monument, and let me. So right here, so Hesta, would you like to just give us a light introduction before I just play this video? Because right now it shows the monument, Joseph J. Roberts, first president of Liberia, and it shows a lot of like pictorial information about what's going on at that time on the monument at the bottom.
Yeah. So at the base of the museum, at the base of the monument is the history of Liberia, and from the arrival to sort of to the independence. The figure at the top is Joseph Jenkins Roberts. Like I said, he's the first African American to become president in the world, and that was in 1847. He also became the president. He was also the president of the university, what is today called the University of Liberia. Back then, it was Liberia College. From my understanding, he was in Washington, D.C. at the emancipation. I'm not sure if he was a part of the emancipation. I know he was in D.C. during the Emancipation Proclamation signing. When you go to the monument, and when you go to the museum in Liberia, there is a letter from President not George Washington, President Abraham Lincoln to President Roberts that you can also see at the monument, at the museum. So that letter was brought in by the American Embassy, I believe, year before last. So they, brought that to become a part of the museum collection. So lots of history where Joseph Jenkins Roberts is concerned. Also, where Joseph Jenkins Roberts Monument is where Liberia's Hotel Ducor Palace It became one of the first five-star hotels in West Africa, and it's so you also see the Ducor Palace that was very badly destroyed during the warring years in Liberia. So it sort of shows you that history. Also, at this monument, you have cannons, the original cannons that they used in the 1800s, like early 1800s, to fight. There were lots of struggles between the natives and the African Americans and the slave traders. So you see the cannons there that represent that. There's also a lighthouse. I believe the first lighthouse in Liberia that was used back then, for those ships coming into Liberia back in the 1800s. So quite a bit of history at this spot. It's also the highest peak of Monrovia.
Excellent. Appreciate the introduction and sharing that. So, family, let me just give you a quick visual.
First of all, Liberia is the only country on this continent of Africa that has the story that it has. Liberia is the only country on the African continent where the first 10 presidents were all African Americans.
Really?
Yes, you're looking at one of them.
And
That's
who-
Joseph Jenkins Roberts.
Okay.
Joseph Jenkins Roberts.
You said first African American president. So you're trying to say Barack Obama was not the first?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
Barack Obama was the 11th.
This is Motherland, and boy, do we have an amazing video for you today. But right before that, I need you guys to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not subscribed, I need you to pause this video and go and subscribe.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is your boy, aka Mac, Countryman Come to Town. I'm here with Hesta Baker, and we are in Monrovia, Liberia. You want to guess where we are? We are at the Ducor Palace. It's a very historical site here in Liberia, and I'll be talking to Miss Hesta Baker, and we are going to be having a really interesting conversation. So Hester, before we get into the meat and potatoes of our conversation, if you can just give us a little background about who you are and what you are currently doing here in Liberia.
Okay, so my name is Hesta Baker, and I am, of course, from Liberia, but I love to say, if you look at geographically where my family originated, Maryland County, but then the other side of me, those American Liberians that came back, so I'm a mixture of both. Live in Liberia, came back here in 2006, trying to give back. My background is communications, also tourism. So wanting to sort of get into that space and see, what I could do to also help in the transformation of Liberia, post-war Liberia.
Okay.
And so I'm here doing my thing. I love it. I'm currently working with the International Trade Center, which is implementing a tourism development project in Liberia. And our partners are the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, as well as the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So along with the ITC, I'm the national branding and marketing consultant for them, and having a good time. I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing because it gives me a chance to do what I'm doing right now and to really enjoy, Liberia. I get to see everything.
Tourism.
Yes.
How is tourism in Liberia?
Infancy stage.
Early stage.
It's in the early stage. And what's interesting though is when we say tourism is in an infancy stage, it's a bit interesting because there was a time in Liberia when Liberia was at the forefront of tourism. All right, but we all know what happened in Liberia, and so we sort of have lost some time in getting started. However, the reason that people came in the first place, they're still here. The beautiful beaches, if you look behind us,
Yeah.
So Liberia is still that tourism opportunity that's now getting into I guess positioning itself to get restarted and to sort of begin positioning itself back in the Africa landscape and to the world.
Okay, so if I'm looking at Ghana, Nigeria, and Liberia,
Hmm.
why would I come visit Liberia? What does Liberia have to offer? Let's just get to the point. Why Liberia?
Why Liberia?
Why? Like why?
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just give you one little reason why.
Okay.
First of all, Liberia is the only country on this continent of Africa that has the story that it has. Liberia is the only country on the African continent where the first 10 presidents were all African Americans.
Really?
Yes, you're looking at one of them.
And
That's
who?
Joseph Jenkins Roberts.
Okay.
Joseph Jenkins
You
Roberts,
said you said first African American
American
president.
president.
So you're trying to say Barack Obama was not the first?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
Barack Obama was the 11th. Because Joseph Jenkins Roberts,
Yeah.
when he became president in 1847, prior to him, there were no other African Americans that had held that position. Joseph Jenkins Roberts was not born in Liberia, or he was not born on the continent of Africa.
Okay.
He was born in America and repatriated back to Africa in the early 1800s. Likewise, Stephen Allen Benson, Daniel B. Warner, James Briggs Bain, all the way up to G.W. Gibson. So they were all African Americans. So that history alone is one history that Liberia has that nowhere else in the world, if you look anywhere else in the world, you will not find that history. So just that alone, I mean, standing here,
Mhm.
we're sort of standing on a ground that I almost want to say should be sacred, because this is Africa's first, I mean, this is the world's first African American president. I wish Barack Obama could come to this spot and stand here as well.
Okay. So he was the first African American president of Liberia,
Yes.
and like you said, of the world.
Right.
Okay. So let's dive into the meat and potato of tourism in Liberia. Okay. So I heard what you said, and I learned a very interesting history today about, just Joseph Jenkins Roberts being the first African American president. That's something, I did not know. Wow. Very, very, very interesting fact. So tourism in Liberia. So is the government doing anything to position Liberia, to be, at the forefront of tourism in the next couple of years? What are some of the programs you guys are working on? Because I heard you say you work for different government entities and private entities that are trying to develop the tourism sector.
Okay, so what we're doing right now, year before last November, we began working on a branding and marketing strategy for Liberia
Okay.
for tourism. So once again, like I said, that is being implemented by the International Trade Center. The funder of that is an organization called the Enhanced Integrated Framework. However, we are working in partnership with the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. And the whole purpose of that is to really begin to lay the foundation for tourism in Liberia. You cannot have tourism, first of all, if you don't have a brand. So the first thing we did was we went through a series of engagements that were held in 2020 November all the way up until January 2021. We were able to develop a new brand for Liberia. The brand is called Amazing Discoveries.
Amazing discoveries.
Amazing Discoveries.
Okay.
Along with that, we're able to travel the length and breadth of Liberia. We're able to get an image library for Liberia, which is the second component, because you do need marketing collaterals in order to be able to market a destination.
Okay.
Liberia as a country has many, many destinations. Liberia as a country has a lot of natural resources, for lack of a better word. The natural resources include the rainforest, for example. When you look at Liberia, Liberia has the largest remaining portion of what is known as the Upper Guinea rainforest. Now, the Upper Guinea rainforest is one of the last remaining virgin rainforests in the world.
In the world.
Liberia has 40%.
You mean the whole wide world?
In the whole world.
Okay.
Yes, it's a very
40%.
Endemic forest, because you have a lot of species in that forest
Okay.
that are rare and endemic to Liberia. So you have, for example, we all have heard about species such as the pygmy hippo.
Yes.
That is endemic to Liberia. But then you also have other species that might not be as big as the pygmy hippo, but there are, like, for example, you have in Nimba, the Nimba otter shrew. You also have the pygmy elephants. You have the giant white, what they call the African giant swallowtail, which is a
The
butterfly,
butterfly. Yeah.
the largest in Africa. So Liberia's rainforest is one. Then you also have many beautiful waterfalls. If you
Okay.
go to Bapulu, you have about 3 or 4 waterfalls in Bapulu. If you go to Bong County, you have 2 amazing waterfalls, Batawis, Seyuga waterfalls. You go into Nimba, you have waterfalls in Nimba. You go into the
Wow.
top of into Sino, you have waterfalls. So Liberia is a country with a lot of beautiful waterfalls. You also have mountains. Liberia has the Gola National Forest, which is
Yes.
a mountain that we share with Sierra Leone. In Nimba, we also have the East Nimba Nature Reserve, which has been become a dedicated nature reserve spot. On the other side of that mountain, Guinea has been able to have their portion of the Nimba Mountain become a UNESCO heritage site. So of course, let's not forget about our beaches. We have 360 miles of unbroken coastline. So
Untapped.
untapped,
Wow.
unbroken,
That's impressive.
straight along the coast. You
Okay.
don't have anywhere in between where it breaks. So we have a lot of beautiful natural sites that
And so, family, I'm hoping that everybody, family, I'm hoping that everybody enjoyed that wonderful video of our sister Hester Baker, just giving you a nice, introduction. And I know we have repeated some of the things that we have talked about, but that's the nature of us, this showing you and connecting you with what Liberia is about. So, Sister Esther Baker and Elizabeth, appreciate you sharing all this wonderful information. And I did post the link, family, to where you can click on the link and continue to watch the full interview. I just wanted to share a few minutes with you, and then we shared multiple videos. So we're pushing the spirit of Liberia, family. I just want to find out from both of you if you have anything else you would like to share before we close. I'm never in a rush to do these things, but don't want to take up too much more time. And I'm looking to see if anyone have any comments about. Sorry, not comments. Anyone have any specific questions before we close? Also, so but definitely, if you want to share your final thoughts, also that would be good, and we can just start wrapping it up since I don't see a lot of questions specifically for both of you.
Okay. Um, Again, I'm just happy to be here to talk about reconnecting with our family across the Americas, as well as parts of Europe, England. Again, I encourage everyone to do some research about their background. My background, according to my research, I have Barbadian, Jamaican, African American, particularly the South, Alabama, Georgia connections, and I just want to encourage everyone to make those connections and build upon them, and come to Liberia to further that understanding and knowledge, and enjoy this beautiful country that was originally such a beacon of light around the world, actually, along with Haiti, for Pan Africanism and independence and nation building.
Perfect. Appreciate your consistent connection, and then the relevance of your connection is just showing us that we're connected as a people. And so family, Liberia is your home, and that's what our sister is mainly telling you. What about you, Esther? Final thoughts?
Liberia is a beautiful country. We invite you to come experience our food. I think you'll enjoy our foods. Come and experience our people. I think you'll enjoy the Liberian people, our free spirit, our openness. We invite you to come and take a tour, of the heritage, the history, and also we invite you to come and invest. We just love to have you, and we look forward to it. And those that joined the call today that were, part of the conversation, thanks, to our Liberian brothers and sisters that I saw, adding, voices and things like that. That just to say that we are all excited about you coming. And we hope that you will come in numbers and be a part of this. And this is a start of a new relationship, or not a start, but a continuation of a relationship that we kind of disconnected, with many, a long time ago. I'm glad that we're reconnecting. John Amos came in 2021. I mean 2022, and he repeatedly said, that this was home, and he felt so at home. So we invite you all to come.
Perfect. And for those who are not familiar who John Amos is, can you tell them who John Amos is?
Yes, John Amos was the actor that played Kunta Kinte in the movie Roots, and he also played. He was what what's his name? Good
Good
Times.
times, yes. Good
Yeah,
times.
he was
Father.
the father on Good Times. Thelma and JJ's dad and Michael's dad
Florida.
in Florida, his wife.
No, she was.
Yeah, Florida Evans.
Yeah, she was Florida Evans, but she played his wife. I forgot his wife's name.
Yes, and then also he was of the most famous of all. When he came to Liberia, he kept laughing over and over because he played. He was in Coming to America, and there was a particular scene that every Liberian person seemed to have memorized, and so he just got a kick out of that. Everybody he met, they would repeat the same scenes, and he was like, "Oh wow!" So he cried so many times, when he came. I mean, it was just so emotional at so many different points for him. And his favorite food was cassava leaf. So we hope you come and eat some cassava leaf with
Yes,
us.
come and experience the wonderful food culture.
Yes.
So there you go, family. We've shared all the relevance of connection with you, and that's that's the special country that we're connecting you to, family, Liberia. So let me just go to one or two these comments, and then we will close. So my good brother Dion, which I've also worked with in connection to the tours that we do in Ghana. So that's one of my good brothers. So I appreciate him saying, he's basically saying he is going to be connecting with us. So you can also bring some of his people and his group members that he can take to Ghana or to Liberia. So that's the vision, family, for everybody that's listening. We're looking to, I can only do so many schedules, so we're looking to organize other groups of people and put together things for them and just make this work. So you have seen us push the promotions and push the short videos and push the energy out and show you this all that Liberia has to offer. And beyond all the beauty that we've shown you, we have things organized from the website to this organize what we can do from here in America to there in Liberia. And let me see what else we got. Our sister saying I would definitely check out Liberia and from the West Indies. When people put them from the West Indies, sometimes I like to for you to put what country you're from specific. Because sometimes when people see anything that say West Indies, they may think you're talking about somewhere that you may not be talking about. Right. But yes, Sister Hilly, we'd love to get you there connected. So family, you see my information down at the bottom. So I'm always saying anyone, if you're interested in anything that we're talking about on these programs, just reach out to me. You can always text or email or call me directly. We're about our business and we communicate with anyone reaching out to us, especially if they're reaching out to us about our Africa tours and investment. All right, so this is my Jamaican sister. So appreciate you definitely. If you're ready to roll, if you want to join our organized group, or if you want to do something else, or if you just want to talk about what we do in Liberia, reach out. It's all good. I appreciate everyone watching and reaching out to us. So family, and that's also the part of that connection in Liberia. Yeah, like our sister Hesta mentioned, once once the energy started moving from America, our folks in the Caribbean islands literally said, hey, let's go do this. And it's the same thing with this modern day energy. I'm hearing more and more people say, hey, you know what, I'm looking to leave directly from Jamaica and go to the west coast of Africa. We have known people to leave and go directly to countries like Ghana and also Liberia. But once we put some more energy out as far as physically being in the country and showing you some more things, it'll all come to light, family. And I know we don't expect everybody to all just jump up and come this year, next year. Some people may take time, but the ones who are ready this year, please reach out to us. If trust me, family, if 50 people call me right now and say they're ready to go to Liberia, we can make it happen. I would adjust my schedule to take you there personally myself, me and my crew.
Yes,
so
and
yes.
also, quickly before we close, I want to say something. I just found out this morning. I didn't even know this, that my grandfather's mother, her entire lineage seemed to be from Barbados. So I just found out that this morning. I didn't even know that.
You didn't
Somebody,
know that?
yeah, someone sent me that whole history from a book, and I couldn't believe it that they left Barbados. It was Nathaniel and Elizabeth Liberty left Barbados, went to Alabama, and from Alabama came with the Maryland Colonization Society and entered Liberia. So just interesting. We're finding out new things every day.
And that's it, family. Because a lot of our history haven't really been around to really present accurate information. So now we as a people are organizing the valuable information out there, and we're putting it out there. And since everything is just so video and so all about this what's online, that's what we do, making sure we have videos out and documentation out. So in in one of our next future videos, we're going to be talking about our good brother Kala Genesis, who wrote that novel about uh, Liberia, and we're going to find out anyone else who have written documentation and see if we can get them on to share information and just pushing it. And when I mean talking about pushing it to and keep on pushing, that's what you have to do out there. You have to just keep on pushing information out. So definitely appreciate both of you just being available with your time to go through what we're talking about going through, as far as this us getting people, mind, and energy ready for Liberia. And what I'm gonna do, family, while we're closing, I'm gonna play you some music from our website and just show you this the last set of information. So don't want to keep you any longer, and we're definitely gonna reconnect. And appreciate you taking the time out and re-educating everyone about why Liberia is so important for us to be a part of that future.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, absolutely. Appreciate both of you, and you take care, and the journey continues.
Yes.
Continues, yes.